Hello, welcome, or welcome back to Heretic Tarot. Clearly, we're doing something a little bit different. This has been something that's been working its way through me for the last couple months, and I feel like I kind of finally have the energy to put it out there. Forgive me if you can hear me breathing kind of hard. I'm nervous. That's also been part of the process, getting over the fear, because new shit, right? Scary. And I don't really think that there's anything else kind of out there like this, which is the heretic in me. So before I kind of get ahead of myself, clearly we are talking about human design. Maybe that wasn't clear, but okay. We're talking about human design. And specifically for the purpose of these readings, we are going to be talking about your human design profile. Now, this may be the first time that you're hearing about human design, maybe not. I mean, you can be kind of diving into it too. I have been doing a deep dive into it. And what made me take that dive is my profile. I'm a 5/1, which is a heretic investigator, which is also where part of my name comes from, the name of this channel and the name of my business. So, reading about my profile, I mean, literal tears were were coming out of my eyes, because it was the first time and probably ever in my life that I had actually felt seen and understood, and I didn't feel inherently flawed, and I didn't feel crazy, for having the experiences that I had had. So from there, and with the 5/1 profile, it is very hard to be seen. So again, just feeling that recognition, hell yeah. I was like, give me everything. I need to know absolutely everything. And I don't, I'm not an authority on this. I'm not claiming to be, I am claiming to be a heretic and bringing more information. I do still have an intention of doing the Zodiac sign readings, but this is just a different way for you to get information regarding your situation. And that's what my intention is. Because also the one line in my profile loves investigation and just kind of having that information. That's not everybody, of course, but like I said, it's something different outside of your sun, moon, and rising sign. So, the readings are going to be the same. I mean, we'll get to, of course, the good stuff, but I just kind of want to set my intentions here and what you can expect. Really, the only thing that's changing is, like I said, we're not going to go by Zodiac. We're going to go by human design profile. At the beginning of each profile reading, I do have an intention of reading some new information. Like clearly, like I have the definitive book of human design here, which comes from the School of Human Design, which I did not attend, but I bought the book. And I think it's, of course, just starting at the source, right? Or not. Okay. And then, I have a few other books. There's a few other blogs, and things. So, I do intend to just kind of give a bit more information on each profile every time I put these readings out. And then from there, we're just going to go into like the regular tarot reading. So that part is going to stay the same. Now, if you know your profile, you can just skip ahead because you would be here because this is your profile. But if you don't know your profile yet, I'll link the website below. I use Joven Archive because, again, you know, it's kind of coming from the original. There are plenty of options when it comes to getting your human design. So, I mean, you can just Google human design chart and pick one. Of course, I mean, pick one that's free. I think for the most part they are, most of them, all of them. So you'll need the same information you need for your natal chart. So you'll need your birth date, the time, and location. Now with human design, the time does need to be as accurate as you can get it, because there are certain things that can change based on the time. So again, you would want to try to get that as accurate as you can. If you don't know the exact time, maybe you know that you were born sometime in the morning, maybe you know that you were born sometime in the afternoon or evening or overnight. You know, I mean, you can kind of use a general time that correlates to the time of day. Like morning, you can use 6 or 8 o'clock, afternoon, noon or 2 o'clock, evening, 6 or 8 o'clock, overnight, you know, I don't know, 1 or 3 o'clock. And if you don't really know that, like I have a friend who has no clue, like the time isn't even on her birth certificate, but she has always had this feeling that she was born in the morning and has just kind of rolled with that. So, you know, but you'll put in your information and you'll see your body graph. This one is mine. Aw. Now, your body graph is going to be unique to you. I don't think that it's impossible, but I think it's incredibly rare for somebody else to have your same exact design. There might be similarities, but as far as it being exact, that's pretty rare. Like my cousin and I have the same centers defined, which means that those centers are colored in. And we have some of the same channels and gates, which are those red or black areas between the centers, but it's not exactly the same. But there's a lot of similarities between us, but of course there's a lot of differences. So you'll see on the right or the left side, there's those numbers in red, that's the design side. And on the left, there's the numbers in black, which is your personality. And those numbers are the correlating gates, which again are the red and black lines between the centers. And the centers are those areas that are either colored in, there's 9 of them. They're either colored in or defined, or they are white or undefined. You can have all of them colored in, you could have none of them colored in, and you can have any combination of that in between. So it depending on how your screen looks, you might have to scroll down a little bit, or it might be to the right, but you'll see that there's listed a type, which would be either a manifester, a generator, a manifesting generator, a projector, or a reflector. You'll see definition, you'll see strategy, you'll see your profile, your inner authority, your not self theme, and your incarnation cross. Now, we are focusing on your profile. Some would say, and I would of course agree with them, that one of the more important aspects of human design is understanding your type, your strategy, and authority, because that is how it is best for you to operate in the world or navigate life in the best way suited for your personal design. So, I mean, you can just Google or jump on YouTube and type in manifester type, or just manifester human design, you know, whatever your type is, manifesting generator, you know, whatever your type is, Just type that information. I mean, there's so many. There's so much good information. Of course, you can buy books if that's what you're into. However, I will leave that more to you for the time being. And like I said, we are going to focus on your profile. And before we get into the readings, and actually before I even skip too far ahead, there are 12 profiles. And those are 1-3, which is the investigator martyr, 1-4, which is investigator opportunist, 2-4, the hermit opportunist, 2-5, hermit heretic, 3-5, martyr heretic, 3-6, martyr role model, 4-6, opportunist role model, 4-1, opportunist investigator, 5-1, heretic investigator, 5-2, heretic hermit, 6-2, role model hermit, and 6-3, role model martyr. So again, you'll find that there once you pull up your chart. And if you are new to human design, I just, because some people are like, what the hell? What is that? And again, I think that, I could talk for hours about what it is. And maybe someday I will. But for now, I just wanted to give this little snippet out of the definitive book of human design. It says the human design system is not a belief system. It does not require that you believe in anything. It is neither stories nor philosophy. It is a concrete map to the nature of being, a mapping of your genetic code. This ability to be able to detail the mechanics of our nature in such depth is obviously profound because it reveals our complete nature in all its subtleties. Excuse me. Human design opens a door to the potential of self-love, a love of life, and the love of others through understanding. Ra'uruhu. And that's the guy that channeled human design back in 1980 something. So that's just a little snippet about human design. And we're going to get on to the actual reading. Hello, welcome. So you are the 2-5, the hermit heretic. So I'm just going to read a blurb out of the definitive book of human design on the 2-5 profile, and then we'll get into the tarot reading. Clearly, this is 2 pages. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Sorry, I was just reading down here. So I'm just going to read this background section right here because I think it kind of gives, of course, just a general overview of the profile. So it says, in the 2-5 profile, we find the harmony of the 2 lines of projection. The very personal hermit who wants to be left alone to do its own thing and is unaware of the projection. The transpersonal and seductive heretic is wary of the projections of others, yet needs to interact with them to fulfill its karmic purpose. The heretic can, in effect, call the hermit into action with an inner call. The true universalizing call is rare, but ultimately the talents of the hermit heretic are correctly called out when the projections that it attracts can be met with the practical solutions that its natural genius provides. The conscious hermit the conscious hermit, in its withdrawal, not wanting to be bothered, projects the attitude of the democrat and allows others to assume responsibility. The unconscious heretic is a savior waiting for its chance to be able to lead and universalize its practical power. The fifth line is always exalted because it represents the hopes and dreams of humanity. It is also the most transpersonal of all lines, and its impact can be very profound. When someone looks in the window of a 2-5, they see the possibility of someone who can be called to greatness. Once called, they can lead any rebellion against any standard at any cost and provide a practical solution that may be outside of all previous boxes. At the same time, what people really want is a general who is called upon only when needed. They want a leader who can step in when there is a crisis, then step out again. The hermit heretic must also have the loyalty of those it is stepping in to save, as well as a loyalty to its own natural passions and talents that are the core of its innate genius. The 2-5 also must know when to let go of the leadership role and step back into its hermitage. This is important on a personal level for the second line, who must be allowed time to retreat in order to nurture itself, as well as a transpersonal level for the fifth line, whose reputation will suffer when it is not able to meet the continual projections of others. Does that sound like you? Does that sound right? I think the thing that I take away the most with the 2-5 profile is this constant dance between stepping in and doing your thing and then stepping out again. Why did that hokey pokey? Oh my gosh. Is that what it's called? You put your right foot in, you put your right foot out. Oh my gosh. Why did that just start? I haven't heard that song since I was like going to the roller skating rink every weekend. Oh my gosh. Anyway, but that's, because the 2s, the second line, there's this innate talent and ability that comes with the second line. And you may not see it that way because I think, like the hermit profile has a hard time kind of recognizing their own genius. But so that's kind of where, like other people come in and they recognize, hey, like you would be a really good leader. And then, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be like you lead a rebellion or whatever, it could be management. It can be, like an authority in your field, whatever it is that you're interested in. And then that fifth line, people project onto that fifth line that, hey, you have the practical solutions. Like you can actually save this situation. So, you kind of have both, like it was saying, there's that harmony between both projections. So people recognize an innate talent or genius in you, which could, kind of affect those around them or affect the situation. And maybe, and for you, it would be a matter of, well, is this something that I actually do feel like I can provide a practical solution on or not? Because not everything that people see, like, if people are saying, oh my gosh, you're, really great at whatever, that doesn't necessarily have to mean that every projection that everybody projects onto you is true or is even your responsibility, I guess. So again, there's this dance that kind of goes on about, is this something that I feel like I can make effective change in? Like, this is something that I have an interest or a passion. And that's when it was talking about that loyalty, the loyalty from other people around you, but also the loyalty that you have to your passions. And then it's also recognizing when your contribution has been, what's the word? Met, or when it's over, you know? I mean, you may have been needed just to get the ball rolling, and that could be it, right? And then you kind of go back into your hermit stage, like you retreat. You're like, okay, I provided this practical solution. Now I'm going to dip out. It could be, you know, kind of coming into the middle of things and, you know, whatever, like, you know, offering your contribution then. It could be at the end, right? But like wherever it is, there's also this need to recognize when it's time to retreat. Because if you don't, like it was saying at the end there with the 5th line, if you don't, it's kind of like, you know, if you overstay your welcome, then your reputation could be affected. Because it's kind of like, again, like you kind of overstay your welcome and people will kind of start being, and it's weird. You probably already know, you've probably already experienced this in your life, but like all of a sudden the energy changes and you're like, what the hell? Like, what the hell happened? You know, so it's learning, you know, to kind of step back before you get to that stage of what the hell happened. So we don't really have like a specific spread we're working with. I just, I'm going to shuffle a bunch of times. I'm going to cut the deck and clearly they're ready to talk. And then we'll see what the message is. And if you have made it this far, I appreciate you coming on this journey with me. Trying something new, stepping out of the box. As it talked about, didn't it say like providing, you know, like practical solutions that are outside of the previous boxes? Mm-hmm. Okay, I feel like these cards are like, shut up, and let's do this. Okay. No. My dog's outside. I just wanted to see what he was. We have the 6 of Thunder, the World, Root of Cups, 3 of Cups, the High Priestess, and Temperance, and then the Flower of Thunder at the bottom of the deck. Just really quick, I should have looked at this first, but Adele is a 2-5 profile. And what a perfect example, because if you know Adele's music or Adele, you know, what she does, like she disappears, right? For like years, you never hear anything about her. And then all of a sudden she comes out with an amazing album. She does all these tours. You hear nothing but Adele for months, right? And then she disappears again. So that's just a perfect example of the 2-5 profile. This is pretty cool. I mean, I feel like all of the readings for all of the profiles that I've done so far have been really cool, which just kind of reaffirms me kind of doing these readings. And of course, I love that. So we start with the 6 of Thunder, or the 6 of Swords. You know what's also interesting is that the 3 of Cups seems to be, I feel like it's come out in almost all of the readings that I've done so far too, which is also kind of interesting. But the 6 of Swords generally talks about moving on from something. Swords have to do with our thoughts. And it is traditionally depicted as kind of something like, I don't want to necessarily say like it's out of your control, but there's generally somebody else guiding the boat. And of course, you know, I mean, you could be any of the characters in that, but the idea is that you're almost kind of being taken away. Or kind of moved on from a situation. It generally also talks about moving from choppy waters to more still waters. But either way, it talks about moving on, letting go, right? And almost just kind of allowing yourself to be guided. This figure is on a whale. You know, we have a rainbow up here. There's, you know, just kind of like this flow that comes with it. Like it's, you know, moving on to better things. And then we have the Three of Cups down here, which talks about community. And also there's this rainbow up here. It's interesting because this almost just kind of feels like what the 2-5 is, right? Like being recognized by other people, and you kind of coming in with this, like, you know, I'm on my way, right? Like I'm being kind of brought into the situation. You may kind of be feeling like you're in maybe the middle of something, like maybe you're being asked to step up or like have some sort of leadership role. Maybe you're being recognized for something. Like, I mean, you could have just been doing your own thing, like, you know, kind of being in that hermit mode, doing your own thing, like really kind of pouring your energy into those things that you're passionate about or that you're interested in. And maybe, you know, there's like this kind of recognition coming in from other people where they're like, hell yeah, like I want what you have. Or how do I buy that? Like, how can I purchase that from you? Because the Three of Cups talks about, I mean, you know, it is a card of celebration. It's also, like I said, it's a card of community. So, you know, and even just the placement of these cards, again, I mean, you could be feeling like you're either in the middle of this or just kind of recognizing that this is maybe even what's happening. And then we have the World here. The World talks about this, you know, it is a cycle ending. It's the end of the Fool's journey. So you've gone through, you know, we start at the Fool, which is the 0. And, you know, it's the whole journey through the World, which is 21. So, you know, you gain all of these experiences and all these lessons, and, you know, there's things that dropped off, there's things that came in, there's, right, like all this kind of harmony stuff going on. But it is like, you know, it is also the card that comes after Judgment. So what you needed out of the situation or what you needed out of that journey, you've received. And now it's kind of time for there to be kind of a closeout of that situation. So this would be that closeout, but it's also a leeway right into the next, because obviously the card that would come after the Fool is, or after the World, is the Fool. So it's, you know, like something is ending, but something is also on the precipice of beginning again. I also think it's interesting that this fish and that fish are the same type of fish. I don't know if that has like any type of significance. Let me see. Let me just look at the No, it doesn't really say. For the world, it just says, in harmony and in union with the world around me, I am here, I am whole. Which is beautiful. And again, it's interesting because, so that we have the high priestess here, and the high priestess, what it says is, I travel silently between the seen and unseen realms. Here I discover more about myself. So this is literally, I mean, it's just so interesting that it's almost, like the profile is just being reiterated again, like in these cards. So, I mean, this could just be something that maybe you're hearing for the first time. Or maybe it hasn't been necessarily like a focus if you are already aware of course, like your human design and the meaning of your profile. Because again, right, like, the world talks about being whole. The high priestess, it's talking about weaving in and out of, being seen and unseen. The high priestess is also very intuitive. I call the high priestess like that. It's our star player card for me. Like really, kind of that link between us and our higher selves. I also love that it's an owl. Oh, me. So this could even be, like almost just kind of intuiting, right? I mean, like there is with the 2-5 profile, there is this intuition that also kind of comes along with it. Again, like, is it something that you feel you have the practical solution for, and that you feel like you could actually provide help in the situation, or not? Is it something that, I mean, like you're not even interested in at all, and maybe don't have like an interest or a passion about it, but, people are just kind of linking like, oh, well, if you're good at this thing, then you're probably good at this thing over here, and you could really help me out. No, that's not, that's not how this works, actually. So it's just kind of recognizing those things that do almost kind of, like light you up, like, how are you able to show up? And then we have the Root of Cups, which is the Knight of Cups. And it says sensitivity and surrender. Let your imagination and heart explore more profound meaning in your life and in your relationships. There's this kind of feeling about it, because it really just kind of seems to me to be reiterating almost the same thing, which is really kind of interesting because they're all different, obviously, cards, right? But this is kind of like, only really kind of like, swoop in. Or maybe even, Interesting. Because if this is, just kind of being in this hermit mode, like maybe again, like, it's talking about wanting to be left alone to kind of do whatever you want to do, move in however, which direction you want to go. And then there's these people here that are like, hey, you could really help us. It does take that recognition to be like, oh, I actually could help you because I have experience or a passion or, just a natural kind of thing that comes to me about this situation. And the high priestess would be saying, just be aware of like, when you're, again, like going back to what I was saying before, like when your contribution has been fulfilled, like you offer your practical solution, you offer the knowledge that you have. And if there's more that is needed outside of that, you have to be able to say, that's actually not in my wheelhouse, but I can either point you in the right direction or, whatever, but it's time for me to step out. And then again, like with the Root of Cups or the Knight of Cups, I see that as being, like kind of coming out of the little hermit cave. Like, this could even be asking you to dive a little bit deeper into what those passions are, because it talks about exploring your imagination and just maybe letting that expand a little bit, whether that's in your personal life or within your relationships. And of course, relationship can be platonic, it could be romantic, it could be business, whatever it is. And also how these two, like I said, with the fishes, like there is this link between, like kind of what brings you a sense of fulfillment or like what makes you feel whole. Like when you are just kind of absorbed by the thing, and like time passes by and you're just having a great time, right? And then we have Temperance. And it says, harmony is my natural state. I breathe balance and shine on. That's exactly, so that's this whole thing, like this, like living, breathing, like, you put your right foot in, you take your right foot out. You put your right foot in and you shake it all about. And then you do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. So it's this beautiful dance of, like, stepping in and, like kind of, and it also fills your cup too, right? Because like you're offering a practical solution to these other people or to the situation. So, you come in, you do your thing, and then you're like, okay, peace, I'm out, right? And then you go right back to your little cave. And of course, like your hermit cave can be whatever you want it to be, right? I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to mean like you're hiding out. It can be, of course, like being a homebody or whatever. But, you go back to, like it says, like, you go back to nurturing yourself and even, kind of nurturing these talents and building on those passions that you have. And then we have the Flower of Thunder down here, which is the Queen of Swords. So this is, like really being discerning. It's also, because the Queen of Swords can be a bit, I don't want to, like, not harsh, but just sharp. Because she is going to cut through bullshit. So, this is being discerning. Again, like I was saying, not every situation is for you. Not every projection that people put on you, like, hey, just because you're good at this thing over here, you would be really good at this thing over here. Because if you don't care about this thing over here, if you don't know anything about it, if it's not passionate, if it's not something that just comes naturally to you, and if you do it anyway, it is not going to work out well. And that's where, your reputation can suffer also. So, there is this discernment that comes in to play. But that also, that's what this balance is all about. It's, of course, an experiment. It's never perfect. And whatever, kind of the situation is for you too. I mean, it's not jumping out at me as anything necessarily specific, like as far as business or relationships go. It can be whatever it is, like situational for you. But this also just kind of feels like, maybe just kind of starting to play around with this energy, or even just recognize and, kind of ponder like, oh, I can actually pinpoint times in my life where this has worked out really well, and other times where it has worked out not so well. And then, of course, like I mentioned before, your strategy and authority would come into play. So that would be available on your body graph. You can always look into that. Like I said, there's a ton of great YouTube videos, because that would also help you navigate the situations to get involved in or not. And again, if you have made it this far with me, I am so grateful to be on this journey with you, and I'm so glad you're here with me. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.